What is orchestration? How does orchestration work? What do I need to be thinking about instrumentally as I write songs? What do orchestrators do? How does this all work? If you're a musical theater writer and you've asked these questions or something similar, then this video is for you. Let's start simple. What is orchestration? Basically, it's the practice of taking a piece of music that's either been written with a simple instrumentation or has been notated in sheet music or some sort of lead sheet format, and then adapting it into a larger framework that utilizes an instrumental ensemble. Normally when we think about orchestration, we think about a piece of music that's been written for, say, piano, and then is taken and blossoms into this lush and gorgeous piece with a full orchestra, which is one way you can do orchestration, but not by any means the only way. When orchestrating or having something to orchestrate, this could become an ensemble of 3 or 4 instruments, all the way up to a full orchestra. There's so much variety here. And something that also falls into this category is taking a piece of music that was written for instruments ABC and re-orchestrating it in a way where it's now for instruments XYZ instead. This would be taking a piece and making a new arrangement with the instruments, which is orchestrating. Now, orchestrating is not, as I had originally thought, taking what's on the page and then just assigning instruments to the various notes and then kind of like threading a line through those various notes that you assigned and saying, okay, I'm done. Alas, no, that would be far too easy. The process can look a million different ways, but generally speaking, there's a lot more to it than that. Sometimes it can start with doing a process very similar to what I described, but then seeing that the lines don't really make a lot of cohesive sense for certain instruments, and then filling in some extra notes to make it make sense. Sometimes it can mean doubling instruments on certain lines and phrases. Sometimes it means actually composing new lines, harmonies, rhythms, counter melodies, etc. And of course, as I believe with everything having to do with musical theater, all of this has to be done with an actual intention, and more specifically, hopefully, with the intentions that the original writers had when they were writing the piece to begin with. This means choosing instruments that provide the timbre, color, and musical flexibility that you're looking for. This also means considering the ranges of those instruments and the skill levels of the people who are most likely to be playing this orchestration. All in all, it's a difficult and complex little process. Now, what about orchestrators? How does that collaboration work, and when do you bring them in? I mean, you can bring them in whenever you want to, but the only time that you really need to be bringing them in is when you're about to have a full production of the piece go on stage. But anywhere during the development process of a musical, you can orchestrate for various steps along the way, whether those be readings or workshops or concerts, and those orchestrations can look different every time. That's a great time to experiment with what you might want the final orchestration to look like and sound like. For instance, you might want to orchestrate for a certain size pit, or something that would physically fit in the space you're working with, or that fits within the constraints of the budget that you're working with. All of those are very valid. As for how to collaborate with orchestrators, well, this will be different every single time. Some people like to hand over the music, give some thoughts about the music, and then say, go, your job, you do it. Other writers really like to be involved in that process and have kind of a back and forth exchange with the orchestrators as they go through the process. Some people need to be in conversation with the orchestrators the entire time and hear snippets of things because they're just not sure what it is they're looking for, and so they would like to hear options. And because you have the option here to either contract these people or bring them on as collaborators, depending on what your process is like and what exactly you're looking for, then this could also be a very short-term gig where you just pay them a stipend. It could be a longer gig where you have them salaried, or you can bring them on board as collaborators and writers and they can have a cut of the royalties and get a different title in addition to orchestrator. It really depends on what you need, what you're looking for, and how your project develops. If you're looking for someone who can help you out in this regard with orchestration, or a coach who can help you out, then come check out the Musical Theater Writing Collective. We have a growing community all the time, and there are new people with all these phenomenal skills in our community. I'm sure you can find someone who might be able to at least point you in the right direction. Okay, so let's assume that you're not working with a ton of money behind your project as it develops. You know, like most of us. How can you orchestrate in a way that lends a unique tone color and voice to your show without blowing the budget, or when your budget is tiny? That is a big and beautiful question. And of course, this entirely depends on your budget size and the uniqueness of the show and what exactly you're looking for. Yes, lots of consideration. But I would say to definitely consider these things. Number one, what large range instruments can you use as your foundation? I'm talking about instruments like pianos, guitars, harps, synths, mallet percussions. Number two, what range flexible and tone flexible instruments can you utilize to get some of those colors going? I think about cellos, horns, mid-range woodwind instruments, etc. And number three, where can you realistically use instrument doubling? And I would say to stray toward the more common doubling types, the combos that you see more often. You will have more people who are able to do those. I would think about reed doublers, double reed doublers, horn doublers, even bowed string instrument doublers. I used a lot of these same exact ideas when I was orchestrating for the King's Legacy's world premiere production because I knew that the budget only allowed for 3 instrumentalists. So we had 3 instrumentalists playing a total of 4 instruments, and it sounded still very lush and beautiful. If you're interested in looking at orchestrating for your show for the first time and you aren't sure where to begin, you can start by looking at the same big 3 principles we look at when composing accompaniment. And if you want a refresher on those or you need to learn more, you can watch this video next. Otherwise, thank you all for being here with me today, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers!